Hey there, fellow stargazers, and welcome to Sister Stargazers, your half-hour show dedicated to looking at the astrology of the upcoming week. And this is the week of November... No, it's not November. It's September 8th through Sunday, September 14th. So Monday, September 8th through Sunday, September 14th. And it's kind of cool. There's some lucky aspects this week. There's a lot going on with Mercury. And we'll get into it all with some things to watch out for and things to wish for. So stay with me. Yeah, here we are in September. We're entering the second week in September. And this week we've got the Sun making a sextile to Jupiter. We have Mercury making a sextile to Jupiter. And then Mercury and the Sun are in a partile exact conjunction called a cazimi. And this is fortunate for brilliance in speaking and ideas and communicating. And we also have a 3/4 moon, where the moon in Gemini will be making a square to the Sun in Virgo. And there's a lot of optimism this week. There's a lot of potential for connection. And there's a lot of opportunities for review. So we can start off taking a look at the chart. I'm going to just share my screen here. Let me see. Okay, I'm moving this along. Okay, I'm going to drop that. Okay, here's the screen. All right, so we've got this chart. And it's set up for Portland, Maine. But what's so interesting is such a preponderance right down here for those of you that are listening to the audio, we've got Saturn at 29 degrees Pisces. Right next to it, we've got the moon at 0 degrees of Aries. And right next to that, we've got Neptune. So the moon has moved out of its eclipse with the sun. So this was a lunar eclipse. The sun is in Virgo. The moon was in Pisces. And this was Sunday the 7th. North node, lunar eclipse. So shining a light into a future potential, but needing to let go of maybe some ego or some dead dreams maybe. And so as the moon moves through the last degrees of Pisces, it's coming into this, so right on the 8th, it's coming into this sandwich between Saturn and Neptune. It's right between them. And it's really just, it's not going to be there for very long. But the day on Monday, the 8th, might feel like you're caught between what could have been and what might be. And so that the sense of dreaming is moving you forward. But also the sense of release or what is holding you back is also very strong. So you're really feeling that maybe coming out of this eclipse and as the week moves forward. The moon then moves quickly into Aries. It's in Aries. It moves through Aries. And it doesn't get to Taurus until Wednesday. But as it moves through late Aries on Tuesday the 9th, it's going to be activating this conjunction that I've spoken of before, which is holding pretty steady, and that's Eris, the sister of Mars, the goddess of discord, which is at 25 degrees Aries, and then Chiron, the healer who only finds his healing through understanding his woundedness, is at 26 degrees of Aries. And those two together are helping us to kind of clear and really face our vulnerabilities, face the things that have caused us shame and have held us back for whatever reason, for and also it's helping us to cultivate our own sense of courage. So there's a whole thing there about exploring individual courage as well, to stand up for ourselves in spite of what might be feeling that is holding you down. So there's this sense as this moon is moving through those last degrees of Pisces into Aries, and meeting up in that station right between, in that sandwich right between Saturn and Neptune, that there is this real understanding of where you were and how you're not there anymore, and how you're also preparing yourself. So the moon moves around this point every month, but this one's pretty significant because it's coming right off of that lunar eclipse, that North Node lunar eclipse that's pointing us in a different direction. So this moon now makes that conjunction to late on Tuesday the 9th. It makes that conjunction to Eris and Chiron, and brings up that sense of vulnerability, that sense of what do I need to move forward? How do I cultivate my courage? And at the time that it's doing this, it's also making an opposition to Mars. And Mars is over in Libra. It's making an alignment. It's at 21 degrees Libra. But as the week progresses, as this week of the 8th of September moves into Sunday, the 14th of September, that Mars is going to be moving further along in Libra, and it will be making more. It's in a wide opposition now. It's going to be coming into a closer and closer opposition as the week moves on. And so the sense of we've got to do something. We've got to do something. But it's also a sense of, we don't want to do something that's going to be too out of bounds, that's too out of our character, that might upset people. So there's this sense with Mars in Libra. You got to be diplomatic. You got to be measured. You want to find your words. You want to be mindful. But there's also a sense of, at the same time, this opposition is asking us to also find the courage within ourselves to heal and to also stand for something. Mean what we say, mean what we do, mean who we are. So this is all kind of rolling out post-eclipse in the first few days after this eclipse into Wednesday, when the moon changes sign and moves into Taurus. And as soon as the moon moves into Taurus, fixed sign, it's going to make a square to Pluto. And that might be kind of like poking the bear a little bit. What do you do with this? What do you do with the things that you're feeling? And it might be that there's a growth point here with the moon in Taurus, a fixed sign, square Pluto in a fixed sign. There might be a sense that you might fall back on what has worked in the past, that something maybe that has worked in the past will work now. Or you might also try to fix those emotions, to maybe deny or to kind of hold them off. And the moon in Taurus can be very, very emotional. There might be psychosomatic kinds of feelings that, like if you're handling the work of Louise Hayes, she is kind of identified by the body with emotions, like an emotion map on the body. So if you have, a tight jaw, for example, or TMJ issues, it might mean that you have trouble getting things, you're keeping things in, you're not expressing. Or if you're, have knee issues, that it might be that you're carrying excess weight, and that doesn't mean just physical weight, but emotional weight as well. or you can't feel like you're not feeling like you can support yourself or getting the support you need. So that's a separate topic. That's Louise Hay's work, and I encourage you to check her out. It's really, it was pioneering, it still is, and there's been a lot of work that's kind of launched off from her work. But just getting back to this moon square Pluto, the moon is very embodied in Taurus. Taurus is the body. The moon moving through Taurus is very sensual, and there might be feelings of longings for things that you maybe can't have, because Pluto is over there in Aquarius, and there also might be a sense of my authority as the moon, my emotions, and then how do they plug into the collective Pluto, and how am I maybe contributing? Am I contributing? Is my emotional nature contributing to a collective zeitgeist? You might think about that, so there's a whole idea of like the negativity can kind of feed negativity. So that's something to watch out for on the 10th when the moon is in Taurus and it makes that square to Pluto. So as we keep going here, the moon on Thursday the 11th will be making a trine from its placement in, let's see, where am I? It's going to keep on going, and it's going to make a trine to Mercury. And Mercury, let's see here if I can keep it running. Yes. Okay. So on the 10th, that's Wednesday. We talked about that. On the 11th there's the 11th. Okay. So on the 11th is Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So the moon is going to make a trine to the moon in Taurus is at 14 degrees. The moon is in 14 degrees Taurus, midpoint of Taurus. So midpoint of the fixed sign. That's a potent little point there. Any of the fixed signs, the midpoints of the fixed signs, they're a little potent. They are calendrical days. They are like those cross-quarter days. So they have a little bit of potency in the zodiac. They're also considered fire gates, where a lot of energy is potentially can come through if you're open to it. So the moon is making a trine to it's applying a trine up to Mercury. Mercury's just 1 degree. No, Mercury's at 17 Virgo, just 2 degrees away from the sun. And Mercury is conjunct. So there's a stellium in Virgo, the sun, the south node, and Mercury. 17. So Mercury's at 17, the south node's at 18, and the sun is at 19 degrees. So that's a really close little packed area of the sky. And the moon is going to be activating as it sweeps through Taurus, Earth sign. It's going to be activating, making a trine to these other Earth signs, this other Earth sign, Virgo, which has this little packed stellium there. And so there's a sense of wanting to express what you're feeling in a really practical and grounded way. And that might mean walking, it might mean yoga, it might mean making art, it might mean planting something or getting your hands in the soil or taking, grounding, taking a walk at the beach. There's something about this earth sign, Taurus moon, to making a trine to earth signs, sun, south node, and Mercury, that is, if you can get physical, like kind of get your hands into doing something expressive, then there'll be that's going to be a really good way to release and understand, have a better understanding of what you're feeling. On Friday the 12th, we've got the moon making a trine. So this is kind of a busy day. There's a lot going on Friday the 12th. So we've got the moon now, it's in late Taurus. So it's at 29 degrees Taurus in late afternoon on Friday the 12th. And it's making an approaching conjunction to Uranus. So Uranus is, so the moon will be conjunct Uranus. Uranus is busy right now because it just started stationing, it just stationed retrograde. So that meant this means it's very still in the sky, and it's going to be moving backwards more. But right now it's like very slow moving, and it's still in this trine. So Uranus is in a trine to Pluto, and this is sparking revolutionary energy, collectively and personally. And both Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus are making, or it's in Gemini, Uranus and Gemini are making sextiles back to this Saturn, Neptune conjunction, right at the cusp of between Mars, Aries at Neptune and Aries at 1 degree and Saturn at 29 degrees of Pisces, and they're both moving retrograde. So everybody, all the big ones now, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus are all retrograding, and they'll be backing. Pluto isn't going to go back into Capricorn, but Neptune will go back into Pisces. Saturn's going to go back to 25 Pisces. And then Uranus is going to go back into Taurus. Yeah, it's going to back up into Taurus. So we're reviewing material, big ideas from March, April time, earlier in the year. And maybe there was an idea that came up then, or a dream or a wish or something that you wanted to do, something big that you might have wanted to undertake, that you're now going to refine. You're going to redevelop it, refine it, go over it, see if it's really viable, see if it's going to work. And it's revolutionary. It's not so much, in the sense that it's revolutionary like big world stage revolutionary, but I mean that can be going on too, and it is really, if you look around, it's going on. But, and I'm not talking about cannons in the street, but on a personal level, revolutionary can mean a change of mind, incredible insight, a release of energy, a letting go, a changing of form. And so there's a sense here that we have this opportunity. This is an incredible aspect, this trine from Uranus to Pluto, and then both of them making sextiles back to the Aries point. This is an incredible opportunity for renewal, for growth, for change. I don't even know if we have the words for it. It's kind of a seize the moment kind of time, and it can be progressive. You can, a year from now you could be in a completely different place. It can also be, you don't have to pick up the banner and carry it forward. It's not like it's mandatory, but the time is calling for us to, just like that conjunction of Chiron and Eris, to kind of clean ourselves up a little bit, let go of the maybe some past programming and old habits and patterns, and taking kind of riding with this energy of renewal and shift that can put us in a really different place. And it's calling on us to have courage, and to not let the things that have shamed us or wounded us hold us back. And that's going to be highlighted this week because of that opposition of Mars in Libra over to the Aries points of Eris, the asteroid goddess of discord, and Chiron. but this moon is it's moving around and highlighting these points this week, and the points that it highlights are the Aries, Mars. It's highlighting not the Mars. It's highlighting the Saturn Neptune conjunction, and then it's highlighting the Eris Chiron conjunction in Aries, and then it's coming over and making a conjunction to Uranus. And Uranus is going to be making those trines back to all three of those big three of those big outer planets, making a trine to Pluto, making a sextile to Saturn and Neptune. So it's a little complicated, but the moon is busy this week making, sparking stuff. The other thing that the moon is doing is on Friday the 12th, it's making a trine to the sun. So as it moves through those late degrees, like 18, 19, 20 degrees of Taurus, it's making a trine up to the south node, Mercury, and the sun. And then at the same time, it's making a sextile over to Jupiter so Jupiter's at 19 degrees of Cancer, and the moon is moving into a sextile. So as it moves through on Friday, as it moves through those late degrees of Taurus, it will offer a sextile to Jupiter. So there's expansion, there's good fortune available to us. The moon will also make a sextile back to with its conjunction to or late conjunction to Uranus in Taurus. It's going to make a sextile back to Saturn. So expansion and contraction. So there might be again this sense of moving forward. What's the potential? And then a feeling of constriction. The sun will make a sextile. So the sun's over in Virgo at 20 degrees. So on Friday the 12th of September, the sun is going to be making a sextile to Jupiter. So this is auspicious. It highlights the expansion side of the equation, and it's also luck. It's good fortune. It's growth. It's animated. It's a fertile movement forward. There's potential. There's possibility. There's opportunity. The moon will then move into Gemini, which is going to make a little bit more of a chatty atmosphere, and then the moon will conjunct Uranus. But while that's happening, the sun and Mercury are over here in Virgo, and they're starting to close the gap between them, and they're going to have a meetup. So an exact conjunction. So as Mercury gets closer to the sun, Mercury will be making a sextile to Jupiter. So this is really fantastic for communicating, receiving news, making news, reaching out, making the right connections, expanding your circle, your network, the openness you feel for opportunities. And then on Saturday the 13th, that was all on Friday. On Saturday the 13th, the sun will be making a conjunction to Mercury. So an exact conjunction. So they're close all week. So there might be this feeling of, anticipating or when's the right time to make the call? It's now. This week is the right time to make the call, to reach out, to talk to people, to make those connections, to see how you can further advance yourself or your company or your business or your network or your, whatever you want in terms of how you want to move forward. This is a great week for making the connections so that those dreams have legs. They have possibilities, that the potential comes out of the connection. And that's what Mercury conjunct the Sun is doing on Saturday the 13th. It's exact, but it's in play all week. I mean, they're really get closer. Mercury gets closer and closer and closer to the Sun as the week progresses until we get to Saturday the 13th when they're exact. And as Mercury moves closer to the Sun, it's going to pass over that south node. So the opportunities might come from people that you've already met or that you already know, or people that know of you, that want to work with you, that have been waiting for an opportunity to connect. So there's a sense of like big potential here that wasn't available before. But now things are aligning so that you can move forward. On Sunday the 14th, there's a 3/4 moon. 3/4 moon means that the moon is waning, and it's moving now towards a new moon, which will happen on the 21st of September, and that's also going to be an eclipse. But new moons are always solar eclipses. So we'll talk about that more next week. But this 3/4 moon is a Gemini moon making a square to the Sun. So as the moon moves from its conjunction in early Gemini with Uranus, which gives us like kind of a spark and an excitement, the moon will be moving into a later degrees of Gemini. And on the 14th, it's going to be, let me see if I'm going to move this forward just a little bit. Yeah, so on the 14th, that's Sunday, the 3/4 moon will be at, let's see, the moon's at 26, 20, it's going to be 22. So the moon has moved on by 3 in the afternoon, and it's going to be making that square to the Sun. So all of that work will be really good during the first part of the week, all of that outreach. Thank you so much for listening. I so appreciate your support, and have a wonderful week. We'll look forward to seeing you next week, and many thanks again. All right, over and out. Have a good week. Bye for now.